listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, a proud member of the CLNS Group of Podcasts. Make sure you download and subscribe to all those shows to get great Patriots content all week long. Tonight, it's your boys here over here at the Pats Nation Network for a post-game report from the Patriots' first playoff victory without Tom Brady since 1997. Matt, it's a great day to be a Patriots fan.
That means this is the first Patriots playoff win without Tom Brady in my lifetime.
There you go. How about that?
Yeah, that's crazy. That was. I mean, it wasn't like a barn burner or anything, but that felt like kind of an instant classic performance to me. It's not. It wasn't like massively dramatic. It was easily the worst game of the playoffs to that point with how insane these games have been.
Yeah.
But just the way the defense turned it up, this felt like, especially like cold weather, crowds rocking in Foxborough. There's, for the first time in a while, it was a Patriots playoff game where you didn't really know who was going to win it, which also has not been a common thing. Like, this is maybe one of the first one of those since I'd probably say like the 2004 divisional round against Peyton, where there's like there's real serious doubt if the Patriots are going to win it. And the only other one in there is like the Titans game in 2019, but that kind of falls in its own category, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, a team that you think can win a Super Bowl, but also might lose this game, and you don't know how it's going to go. So you know it can go either direction. The crowd's into it. The defense is amped up. The offense makes a couple big plays. Special teams play as well. Like, you could pull this straight out of any one of those seasons in the early dynasty.
It's a great point. And the atmosphere was on point from the beginning. People were loud in the parking lot. People were excited. There was an excitement in the air, which, is there for the playoffs, all the time. But it just, it's a different feeling. And it felt like it did have kind of that back in the day feel where it's like, hey, man, you never know. We could do this. And it was pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. And it's exactly what you're looking for, and for the Patriots, at least, it's a situation where, that's what they needed. That's what they wanted. That's what they needed. And they get another one next weekend. And it's just, it was incredible. It was incredible. People were loud. People were yelling. People were screaming. People had a good time. It was awesome. And the team played phenomenally, which was fantastic. So,
yeah. Do we just want? Where do you want to start with this? For people listening tomorrow, by the way, we are watching the Texans Steelers game right now. It just came out of the half, and we just watched the Texans throw a red zone pick. So,
but this is how bad both these teams are, and this is why I want to play the Steelers and not the Texans. The turnover battle right now is 3-0. The Steelers have not turned the ball over yet. The Texans have turned it over 3 times. The Texans are winning.
See, here's the thing. This is what scares me about playing Pittsburgh. Because they do this to you. They did it to us earlier this year. It's inexplicable. I just think I wonder, like,
that was a horrendously bad play by CJ Stroud.
It was, sure. But like, have we overthought this? And is it possible Pittsburgh's like a little bit decent now? Is it possible that defense is that good? And because they forced turnovers this year. Well, obviously we'll do a game preview for whoever the Patriots get later this week.
Defense is just as good.
Well, I was thinking about this earlier. If you look at a potential Super Bowl path for the Patriots, if we're going to start mapping that out right now, either way, you're going against a great defense next week.
Right.
Texans finished second in the NFL in points allowed this year. PFF gives them the second best pass rush unit in the league. The Steelers have the fourth best pass rush unit in the league. And they just I think they're one of the big reasons they force so many turnovers is they just make quarterbacks uncomfortable. So quarterbacks make bad decisions. Like we saw Herbert do last night is when we get into this game. If the quarterback's uncomfortable, even when the pressure's not there, they're going to make stupid plays because they don't trust what's going on.
Right.
AFC Championship game, you're 50-50 right now. It'd have to play Denver, who had the third best defense in the NFL by points allowed this year. And the favorite to come out of the NFC is Seattle, who has the top defense in the NFL. So, we bring this back to what happened last night at Foxborough. This Chargers defense, there's a world here where this would be the easiest defense you have to play on the way to potentially hoisting number 7.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Well, with that context and how good the Chargers defense was, I thought the offense played okay. It wasn't great, but like 381 yards of offense.
Drake May is the second quarterback this season to have 300 yards total, 300 total yards when you include the rushing. 300 total yards against the Chargers defense this year.
Yeah.
He's second, him and Patrick Mahomes. It's just like it doesn't happen because the Chargers defense is really flipping good and they don't allow any of those long passes.
Yep. When you look at you had 10 possessions on offense. You score on 4 of them, and one other one is the one where you run out the game. So that's really 5 successful possessions.
Yeah, it's half of them.
Yeah, 50% successful drive rate against that defense. The overall point total is not great. Points per drive still is not great. Turnovers, not great. A lot to be cleaned up. But I would look through all the Chargers games this year, and by expected points added, this was the 12th best of 18 performances for the Chargers. So the Patriots had the 6th best, 7th best offensive performance.
Yeah.
And success rate was 11th. So this was a better than average performance against a defense that has been very good all year long in Drake May's first ever playoff game where I think you saw some of his nerves.
Oh, yeah, and that's honestly in the first half, I thought he was off. He was not making crisp throws. He was maybe sailing things a little bit, not on the same page with some of his receivers. You could kind of see some things out there. It was also uncharacteristic drops. Pop had a drop. Stephon Diggs had a drop, which I was surprised to see. So it's it wasn't perfect. Austin Hooper, I thought, had a touchdown and just stopped.
May
for some reason
too.
Yes, but I thought Hooper slowed down. If Hooper doesn't slow down, that's a touchdown. So it's hard. He thinks he's gonna be running full speed, and he's trying to throw him open there, and it wasn't a perfect throw, but it was there. And in the next play, Pop drops the pass, and they have to settle for a field goal. It's just those are the types of plays that. And that was the third quarter, but those are the types of plays that can change the game.
I think we should go back. I think the sequence that kind of sets the tone for the ball game and encapsulates a lot of the things that we talked about beforehand. It's Patriots' second possession, right in your end zone.
Mm-hmm.
Drake May, he doesn't even really get fooled, but you get a ball batted at the line that turns into a pick.
Right.
This, I think we talked about. This was the nightmare scenario. Pass rush is getting there, defense is confusing him a little bit. Drake May throws picks early, and that turns into touchdowns for the Chargers. That's your nightmare.
Right.
And that sets him up, I think, at the 10. Inside
it was the 10. No, it was the 10-yard line.
Exactly, yeah. And, Pat, what happens after that? After the Chargers get the ball at the 10-yard line, when we talked about their red zone offense, which is awful, against the Patriots' red zone defense, which has been awful.
When we talked about it, right? And this is can you get a stop on the red zone? Can the Patriots offense do something that, can the Patriots defense do something they haven't been able to do really most of the time? And they play good coverage on first down. Herbert tries to scramble up the middle, gets tackled by Anthony Jennings. Picks up 4 to the 6-yard line. Then they run a bootleg out, which, was interesting. It basically essentially was a QB sweep, was essentially what it was. Played very nicely. Gibbons, Davis, and I believe Jennings was chasing behind it as well. But it was very well played. And then, so he only picked up 3 yards. They had the 3-yard line. And then the play, to me, that, you want to talk about game-changing plays. Justin Herbert, there's no one open. Justin Herbert up the middle, and there's one guy in the middle of the field. One. And that's 5'8", 185 pounds of Marcus Jones against 6'5", 235-pound Justin Herbert. And he stuffs him. And he just absolutely perfect form tackle. Not form tackle, I wouldn't say, but I guess defensive back form tackle. Just hits him in the exact spot. Herbert flips over him, gets tackled at the 2-yard line.
Well, just goes low enough to stop the momentum.
Right.
And because that's the important thing when you're making a tackle. Like you can make a good tackle in that spot and have it still be a touchdown.
Right.
Yeah. So you have to find a way to get him to the ground right there. Like that felt a little bit like the old the cut stick in Madden.
Yes.
Flick it down. Yeah.
Right. And it was a perfect tackle by Jones. And again, it highlights what Marcus is so good at, which is he's a small guy who's feisty, who plays tough. And I'm going to talk about him more in a little while, but like an incredible play. And then Herbert just misses wide to Keenan Allen. I don't know if he necessarily had him. It was good coverage by Gonzo. I guess a great throw. It's probably a touchdown. But, it definitely wasn't a great throw. I can tell you that much. But, they get to go on and stand. And then the very next play, he throws a 48-yard pass to Mondre. It's incredible.
Well, in the 4th down stop, a couple things here. One, Jim Harbaugh is not a coach that goes for it very often.
Right.
And I think this is a spot where you should go for it. You're on the road in the playoffs. The other team's red zone defense isn't good, and you're an underdog. And also, your red zone defense is good. Your defense as a whole is good.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a spot where you feel like if we can get 7 here, that might, not enough to win it, but like that might be the difference maker in this game. And they go for it. And just like you see the way the receivers line up on this play. And it takes you back to the issues the red zone defense has had all year for the Patriots. And the Chargers just don't run. They go to the bunch look at the goal line, and they just don't really run a concept out of it that causes any conflict for the Patriots. Right. So Gonzalez is able to give that's like B+ coverage on Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
If you can make an A+ throw, you'll beat it and you'll get a touchdown, but you need the A+ throw.
Right.
And I think the other thing, we talked about how we thought the Patriots should bring a 4-man rush in this game. Very clearly, the first possession, you see very clearly 4-man rush is not getting there, but the blitz is. And Zach Kerr learns that immediately. They get, I think, the 3rd down blitz on the first possession, gets a stop, and then they bring the blitz here on 4th down at the goal line. And it's just, I think you get multiple free rushers to Herbert. So that's how you win this. You have coverage that's B+, and now you got a quarterback running away from defenders who has to make an A+ throw. Can you get beat there? Yeah. But you really like your odds. And then Herbert sails it. And that's, we talked about how this game might come down to a couple of those high leverage moments. Can you get a touchdown in the red zone? Can you capitalize on the turnovers? And for the Chargers to come up short with the Patriots to get that defensive stand, and then immediately, like you said, follow it up with just a quick check down from May that turns into a 48-yard completion to Ramondre Stevenson, which totally negates the negative field position there, all in one swing. That's not the ball game, but I do feel like that was a big opportunity the Chargers had earlier that they swung at and missed big time. And really from there, they were playing on their heels.
Yeah, it's a huge one. It's a huge one. Like you say, you're able to flip field position to Mondre. And what I like is that May gets the pass knocked down, and it gets picked off, going over the middle, close to his goal line. The very next offensive play, he goes over the middle, close to his goal line. And it just, to me, it just shows the, like, we're good. I'm fine. I'm not worried about this. And that's impressive to me. The other thing, too, is that, and a guy that I don't think has gotten nearly enough credit, and I do hear people talking about him, but a guy that, I didn't talk about him in mine, in my write-up, and I probably should have, is Kyle Williams. On that play by Mondre makes a very nice play. Drake May makes a nice read. He sees the blitz coming. He sees that the middle's wide open. He gets the ball to Ramondre. But Williams recognizes right away that there's only one guy that can tackle him, and it's my guy. And as soon as Mondre catches that, he turns into a blocker. And he makes a nice block. Mondre cuts outside of him, and he ends up at midfield. And that's the type of stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but that Kyle Williams has been doing for the second half of the year consistently. He's been blocking his ass off the second half of the year. And, that's the type I don't expect that from Kyle. I don't think anyone expected that from Kyle Williams when they drafted him. And he's turned into that type of guy. And that's, I think it's very, to me at least, it's a product of the environment and the culture that they have here, that everyone together works to get people open and to get people gains, right? And I can't imagine what it's like watching the film. You imagine how much they're hyping Kyle Williams up for that block in the film room. Like, it's a huge block, and it's that's a 6-yard gain that turns into a 48-yard gain because he makes a nice block.
Yeah, and I think that's a big culture thing, and unless we're talking about a Mac Hollins who's going to be an inline blocker, most of your blocking skill set as a receiver is just going to be, do you have some level of functional strength,
right,
and effort, and you also have to have the awareness. Like, you have to know where to be and have some savviness for it, and just that spatial awareness there from Kyle Williams was, I think, really impressive. And that he comes up later on this drive as well. Is this the drive with the big completion Efton Chisholm, Jim?
Yes,
it is.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a big drive for the rookie receiver because you get across midfield, you get into Chargers territory. We could talk about the trick play in a second here, but you do have a 4th and 4 from the Chargers 30. I did not hate going for it here, especially after running a trick play. You kind of feel like, you're only running that because you think you want to go for it there. It's cold, it's swirling winds. You really want a touchdown if you can get it. You get Kyle Williams winning a one-on-one on 4th down and making one hell of a catch.
Yeah.
Get his feet in bounds, the ballerina feet along the sideline there. And May trusting him too. I mean, it's like a one-look rip it type of play. It's just trusting you to get open and get to the spot. And in sync there. And then is it the next 2 plays later?
You want to know what's funny?
20-yard completion, Efton Chisholm. So
you want to know what's funny about that play? I wasn't the only one in my section, but multiple people in my section. Now that's down the other end of the field. Multiple people in my section thought that play was to Stephon Diggs because of how quick it came out, because of the footwork on the sideline, and obviously they both have an 8 in their number. It's like, well, it must have been to Diggs. I mean, he's not throwing a one-read hitch to Kyle Williams. You know what I mean? On 4th and 4, and sure enough, he was, and he made his corner fall down and then made a toe tap on the sideline. Like that's the type of stuff from him that we want to see, the consistency more often. But it's tough to say you're not happy with the way he's playing right now because all the stuff he's bringing to the table is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's not it's not 1-to-1, but we talked about with the comparison to some of the early dynasty stuff at the top of this episode, and it's just like all these young receivers, they're not necessarily like Booty has a great game. The other receivers aren't necessarily having massive games. You don't see big stat lines here, but they're making plays. And you go back to the 03 group where it's like rookie Bethel Johnson and second-year David Givens and second-year Deion Branch. And you just see a little bit of that there, where it's like, all right, like these aren't world beaters out there at receiver, but they're good enough with a QB who knows what he's doing. And we're making it work.
If Chisholm threw that touchdown pass to Drake May, he'd never buy a beer again for the rest of his life in New England. Like he just would be a cultural icon in New England, and he had him wide open for a touchdown.
And it was a horrendous throw.
Yeah, it was so bad. Just underthrow him. You don't even just underthrow him. Who cares?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like I think that play is designed for May to go up the sideline, but there's no one. Like the only person over there remotely is a deep safety, and it's pretty clear that May sees everything, and you only need 4 yards, and it's just like, I've got all the room in the world. I'm going to slow play this and settle, and there's a lot of room to catch this.
Right.
And Chisholm just hooks it.
Man, that's all right. What are you going to do?
Has Chisholm thrown a football before? Because
I'm sure. It's also tough. Like, adrenaline's pumping. He's thinking, "Oh my God, it's a touchdown! It's a touchdown! It's a touchdown!" And he just airmails it. What are you gonna do? Yeah.
Which it's not. You want to go back to the early dynasty stuff? The Susie Colbert game, Pats Jets 03, where they have David Givens throw a pass, and that's when they decide we're not having anyone other than Tom Brady. He throws a pick in the end zone. I think in the end zone. It's like we're not having anyone other than Tom Brady throw the football for us again. I don't think they're going to be that extreme here, but
until Jules. But so here's the thing, and we can probably break down a few more drives or whatever from the first half, but I mentioned Marcus Jones. The second to last drive, the last Chargers drive of the first half, right? They get a garbage, whatever. They get a garbage call. That Herbert got it at the 27-yard line. I don't think he did. They said that, I don't know.
So like the sequence there too, because the broadcast was confused too. They called him short on the field and then overturned it on review, and that to me was a situation. The video we saw, I don't think you could overturn any call on the field.
That's what I didn't understand. Like the guy came in. So what's interesting is that I'm reading that right in the play-by-play, but that's not how it was said on the like in the stadium.
Yeah.
One guy called them short. The other guy called it a first down. Then they said it was a mess. Either way, I have no idea how they overturned that, but they did. But then Milt Williams sacks Herbert, which has left Chargers fans crying about the fact that he hit him in the helmet. But what are you gonna do?
And before all this, there's the play where Herbert is under pressure and kind of just throws the ball at the feet of an offensive lineman and doesn't get an intentional grounding.
That's right. Yes.
There was a running back in the area, and I think he only misses the running back because he's getting hit. I don't really know how that's factored in. I did think on the whole, the Chargers probably should not have gotten the first down. It also probably should have been roughing the passer. And when you net the two things out, you kind of come out even. Right.
That's true. So anyways, he ends up getting sacked by Chasen as well on that drive. Now they're forced to punt, right? And we're in a situation here where they're punting from, I believe they're punting from their 27-yard line. I think it's somewhere around there. Actually, no, I think they're punting from, I believe it was their 23-yard line. Either way, they're punting from around their 25.
It was their 23.
Okay. So now the question becomes, do you, A, punt it deep and allow Marcus Jones an opportunity to return the ball? By the way, there's 40 seconds left in the half, right? So do you, A, allow Marcus Jones a chance to return the ball, or B, go high and short and don't allow Marcus Jones a chance to return the ball? They opt for high and short, which, of course, Marcus Jones catches it anyways because he's a lunatic and gets 2 yards on the return. But they go for high and short. But the Patriots take over at their own 46-yard line. And this is a play that will not show up in the stat sheet, does not show up anywhere. But it's a 33-yard punt. And it's a 33-yard punt because they're terrified of what Marcus Jones can do returning the ball.
Yep.
And on the very first play of the drive, I'm sorry, that's not true. On the second play of the drive, May goes for 37 yards and puts them in field goal range instantly. And that's one of those things where you have a guy like Jones that makes it difficult for you punting the ball in that situation. And so you give the Patriots a short field because you're like, well, there's only 40 seconds left. We can't give up a touchdown on a punt return. And the Patriots make you pay for it, and they go into the locker room leading instead of with a tie game. And, of course, the offense has to take advantage of it, which they did, with a great run by Drake. But that's the type of stuff that changes, that could turn, theoretically, wins to losses. And it's a huge thing the Patriots have.
Yeah, it's just having that, like, oh, we can have it on a play that might be a loss. We can go out the escape hatch and turn it into a big play anyway. And we saw this. How many years with Bill Belichick's defenses where he just didn't necessarily have an answer to the mobile quarterback?
Right.
And it's like, I think of the Cam Newton game in 2013 and the Lamar Jackson game in 2019 and a couple others in there. Even Ryan Fitzpatrick at points, I feel like we get the Patriots on that. So it's just like, man, you feel like you won the rep because you can't get the quarterback down and you can't contain him. Not only are you losing, you're giving up a big play.
Right.
And that, that's a 3-point play from Drake May to scramble on that. That's what that is.
Yep. 100%. 100%. And it just, that's the type of stuff that he brings to the table. So, and then again, they go into the half up 6-3 and you feel good about where you're at. And again, it was an ugly first half, right? It was an ugly first half, but at least they have the lead. But at least you feel like, okay, we're winning the game. Who knows what else is going to happen, but at least you're winning the game, and so I was happy to see that. So,
yeah. Well, you look at the what do you call it? Just like the win probability chart for this game. The last time the Chargers are more than 50% chance to win the game is the play before the Milton Williams sack that creates this whole sequence.
Yep.
And being able to turn that, it looked like the Patriots might lose the middle 8 of this game, and that was another thing, just like that poor situational play. Is that going to bite you in a one-off game like this, one where you don't think there's going to be a lot of possessions and you think it's probably going to be low scoring? That can kill you. And that they end up netting out +3 in the middle 8, basically just because of the sack and the May run. Like, that's the entire difference.
Really? Yeah, really. It's true. And again, I don't want to diminish the impact that Marcus Jones has on it. I just feel like he's, it makes that decision difficult, because in a normal situation, you're just punting it as far as you can and saying, good luck, and you can't do that when you have a guy like Marcus Jones back there. So that's big.
No.
All right. You want to take an ad break and then we'll talk about the second half?
One more note on
yes.
I want to talk about the first half. So the Patriots offense is not great for the first 2 possessions, but then ends up being the first quarter, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
93 yards for a field goal drive. And then in the second quarter, you still have a 28-yard drive. It ends in a punt where you just have like a weird, I think is this where you get the Diggs drop? I don't remember if this is where you get the Diggs drop or not. But then an incompletion with Ramondre, and just guys not quite on the same page. We still get into Chargers territory. And then you have the field goal drive that essentially ends the half there. So, like, this is a game without a lot of possessions. They were able to consistently move the ball and, be able to keep the Chargers off the field, which I think was going to be a concern here, that the Chargers might own time of possession. And then the only other thing in that sequence, the Chargers get their one big, long drive of the day and stall at the goal line, and then are scared off from going for it on 4th and 2 again because you beat them the first time.
Right.
Which I will say, I think you look back on that, and it does make a difference at the end. Chargers probably should have gone for that one too. Like, you were not going to be able to beat the Patriots with field goals on the road as an underdog in a game like that. And if you go for it and get it there, Well, that's 7 points on those 2 red zone possessions, and that's better than 3 plus 3. And
which is
instead, you just
definitely
end up with 3
true.
points.
Yeah,
And you don't see the red zone again.
Yeah.
That's it. That's your last trip down there.
Yep. It's a fair point.
Yeah. And then the defense locks in, which we can talk about here.
Man, second half was wild. I will say, and there's a lot of people that argue, you got to take the points. In the playoffs, you got to take the points. And I understand where they're coming from. I just think, there's a time to be cautious. There's a time to take points when they're there. And, of course, the Bills win by 3 points, and the Jags get stopped at inside the red zone, and then the argument is, well, they take the 3 points there, they tie the game, or whatever. But I just think there's a reason why analytics say to go for it, and that's because it puts you in a better position to win if you can get it. Now, obviously, if you don't get it, it doesn't work. But again, it's not about the results; it's about, does it work or not? What's a better decision?
Well, if your players don't execute, like, you're just not going to win the game, period. You do have to trust them to execute. And, especially for playoff games, you should be doing a lot of specialized game planning for this and more research than you're doing for the typical regular season game. You got to have a couple plays for, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 4, that kind of range where you feel like you really like your odds. Something that you see something the other team does on defense, and the strengths of your offense, and you have something you think you can go to, which the Patriots get with Kyle Williams on that 4th and 4. And yeah, it doesn't end up turning that drive doesn't turn into 7. You still end up with a field goal. But that would have been a long field goal from there. Right. There's a real chance that play turns 0 points into 3 just because you're converting it and getting closer. Who knows if Bortles is making that?
Well, not only 0 points, but then if you miss it, you're giving them good field position as well. So that that changes things too. So
yeah, and it's I do think that we over-index. I think we care too much about whether or not you're going for it, and we don't care enough about the specific types of play calls. Because the Chargers, they go for it on the first one. The best argument, I think, against them going for 4th down the second time when they get to the red zone is that the play design they had on the first one shows that they have identified a weakness in New England's defense, but they don't know how to
exploit it. Right. Yeah.
And if that's going to be where you run your best play right there.
Right.
And if that was the best you had, maybe I do get why you're kicking it. But that also feels like losing football if you need 2 yards and you only felt like you had one good play for it all game and it already didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I will say, if I only have one good play, that skipping ahead for a second, the Chargers on the last offensive snap do run play action on 4th and 9 down by 2 scores late in the 4th quarter. So they may really only have had one good play for any kind of situation like that all day.
Yeah, they were definitely, the Patriots were fooled. They assumed that they were going to run in that situation. So, obviously the thing matters. Nikhil is saying that he was in 7th grade last time they won a playoff game, and that was 2 years out of high school. What a challenging time that must have been for him. Imagine being a kid when he was, right? Being in the 7th grade and having 2 of your teams win a championship, and then having to wait and wait and wait and wait, and finally, 7 years later, after only experiencing one championship with another championship appearance, you finally get another playoff win. Boston fans have it tough, man. We have it tough. What can you say? It's tough life.
I will say I'm very much looking forward into going into the office tomorrow morning here in New York City with all the Jets and Giants fans and really playing up how much it's hurt to not have this and how we really deserve to finally get one of these.
Oh, goodness. I love it. I love it so much.
Ad break.
Yeah, let's do an ad break.
And then some second half.
Yes, sir. This episode, of course, is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard, but in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, and Prize Picks lets you take control. Now, again, we've talked about this new feature alert on Prize Picks. There's an early payouts on Prize Picks. If your player gets off to a hot start, you can now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. And there's a community on Prize Picks now. With the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow Prize Pick partners like us and tail or fade our picks with just one click. I'll tell you something, man, I was so close. I was so close this week. I knew one of the Patriots running back was going to go off. I picked the wrong one. I picked Travion instead of Ramondre. Silly based on what Ramondre's been doing, but what are you going to do? What you're going to do, download the app, download the Prize Picks app, put in the promo code CLNS. When you do that, you're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
The Steelers are doing their thing right now, by the way, where they're getting outplayed all game. And yet here we are in the fourth quarter.
Hanging around.
It's a one-score game. And you're like, well, all we need is one play from Aaron Rodgers.
Yep, hanging around. By the way, Nikhil clarifies, he's from Columbus, Ohio. So I'll throw it up there. Columbus, Ohio, Blue Jackets, Columbus Crew, Ohio State. You don't get credit for Ohio State. You just won a championship last year.
Well, I will say, they had the really tough stretch in there where we just kept kicking their ass every year.
It's a fair point.
Yeah, go Blue, baby.
But yes, Columbus Blue Jacket. That's tough. That's tough. But listen, you probably work with Cleveland Browns fans, so it's a tough life for them. But anyways, second half, it gets ugly early on for the Patriots. Again, this one's their first possession, but Drake May tries to make a play, ends up getting strip sacked, and Odafe Owe, who just ate Will Campbell's lunch all night. And Will Campbell actually was their highest graded offensive player, I believe, which I thought was crazy, but I think his run blocking, I guess, must have been great because his pass blocking was not.
That's how they graded it out. I haven't dug into the film yet, but I am highly, highly skeptical about that PFF grid.
I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me because I watched him struggle big time. And in my opinion, this play, I took them all in Prize Picks. I might have won my Prize Picks on this play because Trayvon Henderson is wide open on a wheel route. It's going to be a touchdown. It's going to be an easy touchdown. And, he just gets beat. And May takes a hit, and he does what he did in the Pittsburgh game, which I thought he was done with. But he just inexplicably tries to extend the play for longer than he needs to, and ends up getting strip sacked. And, and they recover it, and the Patriots lose possession. And again, they're inside the red zone or just out. I think they were actually inside the red zone, but either just outside the red zone or inside the red zone. And it's just inexcusable. It just cannot happen. Just absolutely cannot happen in that situation. Obviously, a terrible play by Will Campbell. And he wasn't the only one that got beaten in that play. But you just can't turn a bad play into a worse play. You can't do it. And that's exactly what Drake did. Especially, it's second down. Just take the sack and move on.
Yeah, especially when you're in field goal range. Yeah, that's a -3 point play from Drake May right there. And it was his pocket presence, pocket awareness at times was reminiscent of that Steelers game early in the season. And I think if there's one area where he has shown relapses, it is here. Like he shows the improvement, and then sometimes he'll just get a little bit lazy. And that's fine. This is year 2. He's very young. He's got that gunslinger mentality. I do think it's overall still pretty clear that even when he makes these plays, his good plays outweigh his bad plays. I don't think this is even with a poor Drake May game by his standards, this is not a bad game.
Right.
But that's one of those plays where in a playoff game, again, like we said, you don't know how many possessions you're going to get. Like I at the time I was like, you're probably going to get 10 possessions, and you've now thrown away 20% of that with turnovers and just a little bit of carelessness. That I think you're playing a better team. You can't afford that. Thankfully, the defense opens the half with a 3-and-out, and then Chargers get the ball back here, and
this Carlton Davis penalty. I didn't love this Carlton Davis penalty, but if you grab the arm like that, it's going to be a penalty.
Well, I think the issue here is like if you're a better cornerback, with a better reputation, you can get away with that kind of play. Carlton Davis is not that guy. He's been getting flagged for everything this year, so he's just not. I don't hate him for trying it. It was also, they mentioned this on the Pats Chat podcast, and you can kind of tell in live time. They throw and then pick up a flag for pass interference on the first play of the next drive, and that's down the Patriots sideline, and then this one down the Chargers sideline does get called. So I do wonder if there's a little bit of players being in the ear, coaches being in the ear of the officials that, gets into that there. Although I did think both calls probably ended up being correct at the end of the day.
The Gonzo one, I almost lost my mind. When they threw a flag on that, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. That's like, I guess he got there about the same time the ball hit him in the back, but like it clearly wasn't pass interference. Anyways. So
and that was like he was defended. The ball was uncatchable because he's covered.
Right. So
hit him in the back. Yeah.
But the Patriots do force a punt, and
it's essentially it's the penalty and then a 3-and-out.
Yes, exactly. And then this is two big plays back to back, put them in field goal range, and it's. A 3rd and 13 after May takes a sack again. 3rd and 13, he hits Hunter Henry wide open over the middle. And this is just a zone play. Henry just sits down in the zone, and May hits it. And, it ends up being a nice gain by them. And you look at it and say, like, all right, here we are. And looks like it's going to be Houston. But he makes a nice play on that. And then the very next play, he throws across his body to Kayshon Boutte, and Boutte makes a phenomenal play to come back for the ball. And I really think, too, there's a situation where May understands he can come back to get it. So he understands, I'm going to throw it up there, and Boutte's going to be able to come back and get that ball. So Boutte comes back and gets it, and then is able to extend the play to, have it be over a 40-yard game. It just ends up being a huge play by them.
Yeah. You look at this here, situational football, Patriots with 2 different drives in this game where they're backed up inside their own 10 and you get field goals. And obviously you'd love to get touchdowns on those, but against this defense,
right,
to be able to take a significant chunk of time off the clock and get 3 out of it, you're able to go up. That's what the drive that puts you up 9-6. And you're still vulnerable. If you give up a touchdown, you give up one play, you can surrender the lead just like that. But at the same time, this Chargers offense has not really threatened you all day long. And you've been getting home with a rush. You feel good about being able to maintain that. And also, I think this was the point in the game where it's like, all right, they haven't been able to score touchdowns. If they're relying on field goals to try to tie this up, they're going to touch the ball 2, maybe 3 more times after that field goal. So that their offense basically has to be perfect to beat you. And I think that field goal drive, and it starts, that play to Henry is the big one there on 3rd and 13. That is that's not your nail in the coffin. And it's not really a turning point. But that's where you feel confident.
Huge play
about the way where things go.
Especially when it's followed up so quickly with the long pass to Boutte.
Which there were one of the real strengths of Drake May's game, because it happened twice. They played a Chisholm and they played a Booty, where you've got routes down the sideline, vertical routes down the sideline, and safeties over the top. And May just, he reads where the coverage is and basically slows down a go route. And it's not a back shoulder throw. Like, these are the types of windows that, like, Aaron Rodgers might attack with a back shoulder throw. That's not how Drake May's doing it. He's just slowing guys down, allow them to make a play on the football. And it's great stuff. Wait, was that long Booty play the other drive?
No, you're talking about the one where he came back and caught it, yeah?
There were two that I would describe that way. One was the third down.
This is one where this is the first. This is the very next play after the Hunter Henry catch.
Okay, I'm remembering this correctly. Yeah, it's just that with the way that, like, he's able to beat these types of coverages, and we saw it earlier in the year. You go to the game-winning drive against Buffalo, where he's hitting Booty along the sideline, in that one in between the safety and the corner, and that's one where you're doing it in a much tighter window, and you're putting the ball on him. That's a different type of throw. Like, I don't really see other quarterbacks making this specific throw and beating coverages the way May does. And do it twice against that Chargers defense last night, I thought was really savvy. Veteran play from the youngster in his first playoff game.
Yeah, and honestly, for a guy that had struggled a little bit at the beginning of the year, right, or at the beginning of the game, I'm sorry, it's he comes out and he finds it in the second half. And then, the next drive that the Patriots get, he makes just the throw to Hunter Henry is just, you talk about the window. I mean, that might have been 6 inches, maybe 6 inches. And it's just, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And that's the type of throw that we're waiting for from Drake May. That's the type of throw that we know that he's capable of making. And he makes it in that situation, and the Patriots then take a 16-3 lead, and you're looking at it saying, like, this game's over. Now, I was a little surprised that they didn't go for 2 in that situation to try to put it up 14. Vrabel said something interesting, which I thought was, we felt like that we go up. What's it say? We felt like
you felt like you can get a field goal,
right?
Yeah,
to go up 8.
And I just, to be
doesn't
honest,
make any sense to me. I don't like that line of thinking.
Honestly, reading his body language this morning on it, I think he kind of regretted. I mean, this is me reading between the lines and speculating here. I think he kind of regretted not going for 2, and I do kind of think they just thought it almost doesn't, like, the game's over now. The Chargers are just not. It's not going to matter what we do here, right, because the Chargers can't get to 16 points against us.
Right.
They can't score 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
and they didn't come close.
No,
they got
sure
that
didn't. Yeah.
What I want to talk about, I want to go back on that touchdown drive. You do get a completion to Jack Westover on Osweiler Juke here.
Yep.
Which I called the Westover completion. Not like that. Did not see that one.
No.
You get the other completion to Booty along the sideline, which was like, that play was the last moment where I was nervous, because if that throw is a foot further inside, that might be a pick 6.
Yeah.
And a game that you've controlled for the most part. Now you're down 10-9 in the fourth quarter. But perfect throw from May. Booty also kind of comes back to that one and assertively makes the catch. And then I was able to shake the defender and pick up 16 yards down the sideline. Get another May scramble. You had the 13-yard Ramondre Stevenson run too,
yes,
where he breaks a tackle. He was fantastic. And then Trevion Henderson makes the block on play action on the touchdown pass, giving May just enough time to wiggle and find a spot to throw it from.
Well, and that's the type of stuff that we talk about. And by the way, the Booty catch I just thought was an example of May trusting him to make a play. This is insane, by the way. They're punting on the situation, but that's okay. You're down 11 points with 9 minutes left to go in the game. Like, what are you doing? Although Jalen Nolan almost just muffed the punt. But anyways, so you trust your guy to make a play. You can get it out there fast enough, and you trust that he's going to come back and get that ball, which is what he does. So, is a nice play by him. You mentioned Mondre, who was phenomenal, just phenomenal last night. I was really impressed with his running ability. I was impressed with, the way that he attacked them, his patience, and the ball security and everything else. And that Travion Henderson block. I mean, we talked about his when they drafted him. We talked about his ability to pass block and how his pass pro was something that was, one of the best. I think someone said like maybe the best pass blocking guys, pass blocking running backs they've ever seen. And at least coming out of school. And for it to be him that makes that block on a blitz up the middle when that guy's coming in untouched and it ends in a touchdown pass, that's just it's awesome to see, especially we struggle with it so much at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. And that touchdown is your dagger.
Pretty much.
You don't feel like the Chargers are going to threaten you at that point. The Chargers offense had nothing. We go back a possession here, and the two biggest plays of the second half for this Chargers offense, one of them's a penalty. The other one's a Marcus Jones strip sack.
It's outrageous.
That Kamani Vidal picks up and runs for like 15 yards with.
Yeah.
And that was the only other point where I was like, man, are the balls just not going to bounce our way tonight, and this is going to happen? But even with some of that luck going for the Chargers at points, just
didn't matter.
No, and their offensive line couldn't pick up anything. The Patriots kept blitzing, and Herbert was awful. There were receivers open at points, and from the jump, I think he was skittish. And Greg Roman's not a good offensive coordinator, and when you pair that with an awful offensive line, you get a quarterback who doesn't feel like he has answers in the passing game and who doesn't feel like he can stay in the pocket, which is what you watched last night.
Did you see Ben Solak today?
I saw he posted a video. I have not watched the full thing yet, so I have to. I've seen clips. I know it's bad.
Like the second play of the game.
The second one, yeah.
The second play of the game. Ladd McConkey's by himself. He's the only guy on that side of the field. There's nobody there. Herbert's rolling to his right, which is the side of the field McConkey's on, and he doesn't throw it. It's a touchdown. It's an easy touchdown. And he doesn't throw the ball. It just
he's not looking for it.
Right.
And that I think is the big thing here.
Yeah.
We talked about it kind of with this Texans Steelers game too, is that if your line is getting beat that badly, at a certain point as a quarterback, you're just like you stop. You're not even looking down the field. Like you're just always looking for the next rush or trying to avoid him. And because of that, Herbert played awful football. That's a burn the tape type game. And I have to think they're firing Greg Roman after this. And they should be better when they get Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt back, but that's not going to fix all
the hard part. The hard part for me. Yeah. The hard part for me is that this is what Justin Herbert's been since he got there. He does this in the playoffs. And he had 4 interceptions against the Texans last year in the playoffs. Like this is the guy that he is. And that's he's a phenomenal player. You got to assume that he's going to be able that he's not going to be this way his whole career. But you just haven't seen anything else other than that so far yet.
Well, you look at he's only played in 3 playoff games. 2 of them have been in this era here, where in the last 2 playoff games he's played in, his offensive line has gotten killed because you have to go against this Texas defense last year, and then you just don't have a line right now. With Greg Roman as your offensive coordinator, I like Herbert. I think he's significantly better than the playoff performances you've seen. You're not going to come close to getting out of him what you can get out of him if this is what you're putting around him. And a lot of that's out of their control. I mean, you lose. There's no team that's going to lose both starting tackles for the season before the year and have a good offensive line. Any chance they had at the Super Bowl They didn't both go down before the season, but once they're both down, any chance they had a run was over. I mean, they lost at the Giants. I think that was week 5. And that was like, I'm impressed that they were able to salvage anything to be a competitive team the way they were. But yeah, they're gonna have to go. It's like back to the drawing board. You just gotta like get healthy and then get some better players in there. It's not with health. They're like 1 or 2 moves away on that offensive line away from being a competent group. But then you need the coaching, and that was, I mean, Greg Roman got outclassed by Zach Kerr last night, and
we
heard like, about that after the game from Robert Spillane.
Right, and even like small stuff for me, like for instance, they're trying to march down the field on their second to last drive. They're trying to march down the field to the second to last drive. I can't remember. I think it was the second last drive. Or maybe it was their last. No, that's not true. It was their last drive. They're trying to march down the field, and they substitute, but they try to do it like slyly so the Patriots don't see that they substitute. Well, the Patriots catch it, and so they take their time substituting, and they substitute in a whole new defensive line, and those guys, slowly jog off. The other guys slowly jog off, and you got to give them time to do it, and you've wasted a whole 30 seconds doing that.
Yep. And hockey substituting the defensive line. Right.
And that's the type of stuff you just can't, you just can't have that happen, and so anyways, but that's the way it goes. I think they
totally outcoached,
coached circles around them, just coached circles around them. So,
and you look at, it's the combination of coaching circles around them and then making a couple plays.
Yep.
So we haven't talked about, and here is the strip sack where Caleb Von Chasen and oh my goodness, Elijah Ponder.
Yep.
Just created a car accident with Justin Herbert.
I can't believe he got up, to be honest with you.
Yeah. That was, I mean, I'm just like, if there's one thing I'm impressed about with Justin Herbert, that is a tough dude getting hit that much with a broken hand.
Yeah.
I mean, that is ridiculous, but we talked about, he's going to have the broken hand. He's not going to have a good offensive line. Hit him and knock the ball out. You're able to force 2 fumbles. You get one of them. And like that's obviously the game was already over at that point, but that really puts a bow on it.
Well, that's the thing, is that they don't get anything out of that drive. They don't even pick up any yards there.
They're only 3 and out of the game.
Right. But you waste 2.5 minutes of clock time. And that's enough to basically end the game. And then, of course, end of the game there, Milton Williams, has the big 4th down sack. And I thought Vrabel's pushing all the right buttons. Vrabel said that the big dogs eat in the playoffs. And it's just like, that's, Milton Williams talking about, like, that really spoke to me, and that drove me. And you see him after the game and he's talking. It's just like he's pushing the right buttons right now. Things are working. And so, who knows if they'll win next week it's probably going to be against Houston. But for right now, for what they're doing, man, it was an impressive performance by them. And it's hard not to feel extremely happy about where they are right now. So,
and I do think, I thought we wanted to see at least one postseason win with this group.
Mm-hmm.
And we got it. And now I really feel like anything you get is gravy, but also you keep playing like this. I thought that was, maybe a below average. Above average performance probably as a team. Subpar performance from your offense. If you are able to play better than that, you can beat anyone. And you look at this. You look at the field of quarterbacks left right now. It's going to be C.J. Stroud next week. AFC Championship game might be Bo Nix. Potential Super Bowl, are we talking about Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold. It's crazy.
Crazy. There's, and obviously a lot of things have to happen between now and then, and it could just be Josh Allen and the Bills coming to town for the AFC Championship if you get that far. But like this is you got a real opportunity in front of you right now, and I'd love to see him take advantage. I have one more note on the coaching side of things here. The last 2 possessions the Chargers have, both of them open with false starts. 1st and 15 to start both of them.
Yeah.
And that's just you're just continuing to shovel downwards at that point. That's just losing football. We'll see what type of football the Texans bring into Foxborough next weekend. But you have to. But the Chargers played terribly, and the Patriots did a good job of both forcing that and taking advantage of that. And that's what playoff football is all about. Like, not all the wins are going to be glamorous. Sometimes it's just you're going to play a tough, physical, cold weather game. And it's going to be low scoring, and you just got to out tough the other team. And Patriots absolutely did that. They were the more physical, harder hitting, better prepared, better coached team.
And Tom Brady played plenty of games like that. Plenty of games like that, including his last. That's for sure. And his last Super Bowl win as a Patriot too. Like, that's, those are the types of things where it's just like, sometimes you got to win some of these ugly games. And, then you can have one of your big offensive games potentially. I mean, obviously it feels like that's probably not going to happen this week against the Texans, but you never know. So it's just, it's one of those things. So we'll see. Oh, and it's 100% going to be the Texans. They just scored again. Ball game. So
this will be
my assumption will be a 3:05 start. Would be my assumption
on Sunday. Probably that might end up being the ESPN game.
Yeah, so it's interesting because it's going to be that means that because they'll do one AFC night game, one NFC night game. That means that they'll put.
Not necessarily, right?
I don't know. It's usually how they do it, but maybe I'm wrong. It's usually how they do it.
Because I believe that it's I was trying to research this earlier, and it was hard to find good articles on it. But I would assume that like Fox gets one of the NFC. I think Fox gets first dibs on one of the NFC, and CBS might get first dibs on one of the AFC, and then the other two end up going to ESPN and NBC, or the other two. So like last year on the divisional weekend, NBC and ESPN ended up getting both of the early games.
Okay.
And I wonder if we see something like that. I do think the schedule is going to end up being Bills Broncos early Saturday, 49ers Seahawks late, and then Sunday is going to be Pats Texans early and Rams Bears late.
Bears late, yeah.
And if that's how it goes, I think Rams Bears probably gets. That's probably going to be Fox, and then because of that, then CBS will probably be Bills Broncos, and then we'll probably be the ESPN game, and the 49ers Seahawks will be the NBC game.
Right. Just one injury note. Yeah, one injury note here. Nico Collins out of the game. Actually carted to the locker room because of a concussion. Christian Gonzalez in concussion protocol as well, but he seemed to say he was feeling okay. Who knows? But it's interesting. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But if he's out, that changes things. I mean, Christian Kirk had a phenomenal game, obviously, but that doesn't really matter. It's Christian Kirk. I'm not worried about him doing that over and over again.
Yeah. Also worth noting, Patriots made some roster moves today. Cut Dearness Johnson. And with Alex Austin practicing, I wonder if Alex Austin ends up coming back to the lineup here, in which case...
Feels like it.
Yeah. Without knowing if Christian Gonzalez will be good to go this week. You might end up with no Christian Gonzalez, no Nico Collins for this game, which would be really interesting.
Yeah. Just kind of cancel each other out.
Narratively, having Drake May's first playoff game be against the team that was the last one Brady beat at home at Gillette Stadium. And then his second playoff game is going to be against the team he made his first start against.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Final question here for you. Yes. Knowing what the bracket looks like now, who do you want in the AFC Championship game if the Patriots make it that far?
Oh, my God.
Because this has gone how we expected it to go. And now we're one step away from having to make a deal.
I have been, ever since Buffalo won on Sunday afternoon, which, by the way, everyone knew that Buffalo was going to win Sunday afternoon, right? But ever since then, all I could think of was the Bills are going to win, the Patriots are going to win, and the Buffalo's coming here for the AFC Championship game. And that's a terrifying perspective, right? Because it's the Bills and it's Josh Allen and Josh Allen is a monster. But if you win that game, in your first year with this regime, with a second-year quarterback, with a team that went 4-13 last year, who everyone expected to finish last place in the division, and you beat the Bills in the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl instead of the Bills. And so not only have the Bills run the division since Tom Brady left, but you make it to the Super Bowl before they did after Brady leaves. That would just be the dagger in the hearts of Bills fans. And I have to root for that. I have to.
Right. And the fact that we beat the Bills on the road this year. There's no doubt in my mind you can win that game.
Right.
No doubt. Especially given that both games were one-possession games. Both of these games were about as close as it gets. Yeah, Bills can absolutely go ahead and beat you. But, I think sports are – you want the narrative. And the idea of being able to knock them out is just too enticing for me. That's also a hilarious return. Ever since I said that, Steelers aren't playing well, but it's the fourth quarter and it's a one-score game, they have just imploded. I think that's 3 consecutive touchdowns for Houston since I said
is.
that.
And I'll tell you, as soon as they punted down 11 with 9 minutes left to go, the game was over. But this is one of those things for me where, you as a Patriots fan, it's year one really of the rebuild. So you're saying, all right, it's year one. If you lose to Buffalo, whatever. It's like Mahomes losing to Brady, right? In his first AFC Championship game, in his second year, right? Obviously a little different because Josh Allen isn't going anywhere, but nevertheless, it's similar to that. In that's the same type of vein. And then if you win that game, goodness sake. I mean, it's just just like I can't even. We got the Texans first. All right, I got to pump the brakes. I'm getting a little excited, but my goodness, and the shimmer victory is still that was rocking last night in Gillette, and the fact that could happen to Buffalo, and they could lose that game. I just can't.
It's too appealing, and that's what sports are all about, man.
Yeah.
I also think from a hatred perspective, these playoffs have been fantastic. The Bears-Packers rivalry being back.
Yep.
I love that Ben Johnson was kind of like, yeah, they're the enemy and we want to crush them.
Yep.
And they've just kind of, the entire team has adopted that attitude, which is also very Mike Vrabel. Like, the one thing I did not see coming was Ben Johnson being more of a sicko than Dan Campbell or Mike Vrabel. Didn't see that coming.
Pretty wild.
But he is. That Bears game was insane. I think the Bears beat the Rams. I will say that. The Rams have been fading a little bit, and I don't know how good this Bears team is, but have you seen the weather forecast for Chicago on Saturday or Sunday?
It's nasty.
Yeah.
And Matthew Stafford does not play well outside of a dome. Or not outside of a dome. Outside of a dome in cold
weather. Yeah.
Right.
Forecast for Foxborough for next Sunday too. Highs in the mid-30s, chance of precipitation. So, real chance this turns into a sleet or snow game for the Patriots and Texans. And you're playing a team from Houston that plays in a dome. Yes, please. That's another thing here. Your first 2 playoff games are against dome teams from warm weather environments at home at Gillette Stadium.
Right. I will say defense travels. Right. Defense travels. So I'm not necessarily worried about that if I'm Houston, but nevertheless. And the Steelers have benched Aaron Rodgers.
Last pass going to be a pick 6 here?
I understand you're down 24 in the playoffs, but how do you bench your starting quarterback?
I wonder if he wanted to come out.
That's insane. And maybe he did, but that is and they're just gonna give up. Like, oh God, that's embarrassing. I think Tomlin should be fired before.
Sounds like he
Tomlin
might
should be fired now. Like, just fire him before the game ends.
It sounds like he's going to TV too, from everything I've seen.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting here.
So,
I think what you leave this with right now, Patriots played well on Sunday. They're going to have to play better next week because you're playing a team. The Texans are basically the better version of the Chargers. You get a worse quarterback there, which works in your favor. Right. It's a bad offensive line, but a line that's much better than what the Chargers have. And it's an elite defense that's better than what the Chargers do. Now, they don't, but this is the quick review, they don't throw as much crazy stuff at you as the Chargers do. Like, it's going to be a 4-man rush all game. You're not going to have blitzes, so you guys just got to win.
Right, because they just say, we're better than you.
Yeah. That's roll the ball out there, let's play. That's what they do. So, like, schematically, this is different from last week. But it's the same. Like, if you basically have to go play the game you did on this Sunday and next Sunday, but like 20 to 30% better across the board. Maybe not 20 to 30% better on defense, but on offense, because you probably need to play that much better just to get the same amount of points because the Texans are going to bring it.
I agree. So we'll see. It should be a fun, entertaining game. I'm selfishly hoping for the 6:30 game because if it's 3:05, I won't be able to tailgate, but that's okay.
They should get Shane Vereen to be the keeper of the light. I remember him toasting the Texans in the playoffs a couple times.
Yes, that would be a good one. That would be a really good one. So
can they, or maybe if the players come out in Letterman jackets? I wonder where those ended up.
I feel like that's probably going to be frowned upon from the Texans organization, but you never know. So the Patriots season ticket holders did get Letterman jackets for as our gift this year, as our season ticket holder gift this year. So maybe we should all wear them to the stadium in remembrance of the Texans wearing their Letterman jackets. So TDS, we talked about this already, but TDS Gonzo status, we don't know yet. We do know he's in concussion protocol. We don't know where he is in concussion protocol. He's got an extra day. Nico Collins in concussion protocol as well. He's got an extra day than Nico Collins. Nico Collins was carted to the locker room with his head down. Not a great sign for Nico Collins playing on Sunday.
No.
Christian Gonzalez seems to say that he is feeling okay, but it's all going to come down to whether he can clear the protocol. And that protocol has to do with baseline testing, and it has to do with him being out of practice. Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be really big. Is he out of practice? Is he out there with a red jersey on? He's got to be out there, kind of play a little bit, and then kind of ramp up to a full one, and then see what's there. And so if that's the case, he'll play. And if not, then he won't. And that's really, there's no way to know. Everyone responds differently to those things, and there's no way to know whether he's going to be ready or not. And so we hope, obviously, that he will be, but if he isn't, then he isn't. There's nothing we can do. So
one final takeaway. I should mention this way earlier.
Yeah.
Pats defense, we all know how they started as a run unit. Then they went 7 consecutive games allowing over 100 yards rushing as a team.
Yep.
Back-to-back games here, under 100-yard rushing allowed. And that was the other thing. You were able to blitz Herbert and get everyone uncomfortable because you were able to stop the run on early downs and get them into those spots. And this is, that's been the formula for this defense to have success all year long. So the fact that, you expected to be able to get to that point against this Chargers team that does not block very well in the running game, and the fact that you were actually able to take advantage of that, and we thought this was a bit of a weakness on weakness matchup there, the way the Patriots defense had been playing, and the Patriots won it. The Patriots dominated that one. Patriots dominated the red zone defensively, and they got the 1 touchdown. Those were kind of our keys to the game. Pats won them across the board, and that's why you end up with a 2-possession win.
It'd be real nice. So we got to run because there's another show hopping on to the CLNS podcast network. just about now. They got the crossover show, so stick around for that. And we'll be back with you Thursday night. Thursday night is what we'll be back talking about the matchup between the Patriots and the Texans. Hey, we got a playoff win. Let's everyone be happy about that, and we'll see what happens next week. Anyways,
did they announce the time?
I don't think they did. I think
people in the chat are saying Sunday 6:30.
Yeah, but I haven't seen it anywhere, so I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I haven't seen any announcer or any
nothing official yet. So we'll see. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it, everyone, and we will talk to you soon. Be good to each other and go Pats.